Hello and welcome to Big Weekend here on the Football365 show, brought to you by Paddy Power. I'm your host Mark Smith. I'm here as ever with Sarah Winterburn. Look, we've got a lot to talk about, as we always seem to have, but it's been a properly mad midweek of games. So, let's get straight into it. This weekend looks like fun. Southampton will lose by at least 9 goals again, I imagine. We'll see. Look, if you like the show, don't forget to like and subscribe and press the notification bell so you never miss a show ever again going forward. This is Big Weekend, brought to you by Paddy Power. Right, Sarah, we seem to be saying this every week now, but this is probably the biggest game of the season so far, isn't it? Liverpool versus Man City. This could be the end of Liverpool's title race, couldn't it?
We're here again, aren't we? Actually, it could be. I don't think it will be. I think Liverpool's problems this season, as we saw against Brighton, as we saw last week against Burnley, we talk about that low block, don't we, which has become sort of modern parlance, hasn't it? We all know about that, the low block. It really just means playing against a really defensively organised side. And they've really struggled with that. Now, Man City are incredibly defensively organised, but they won't play in that way. They will play a more expansive way. All the big 6 games this season, what do we see? We see 0-0. I wouldn't be massively surprised if we saw the same thing again. Liverpool will step up against a better side. Their record against the top sides of the division this season is as good as anybody's. Their record against the bottom 8 is absolutely horrendous. So this is probably exactly the game they actually want, as ridiculous as it sounds. They probably wouldn't want to play a Fulham right now or a West Brom.
No.
What they want to play is a team who will take them on. And City will obviously take them on. And, City's record against Liverpool recently has been so poor that, psychologically, as ridiculous as it sounds, City will probably be relatively happy with a draw. As much as you kind of
delighted with the draw.
As much as you're kind of screaming and going, come on, this is your chance to absolutely put this to bed. Because, City could win 3 or 4-0 against Liverpool. I'm convinced of it. They're good enough. It's whether they actually approach this game as if they're going to do that, or they approach it as if they've approached every other Liverpool game in the last few years. And I think
I see this as being like a Champions League quarter-final sort of thing with Pep, isn't it? He doesn't do well at Liverpool, and actually a draw at Liverpool I think is a really, really good result. It just maintains that distance. As long as Liverpool don't win this, City would be happy. On the other hand, Liverpool, for me, this is a must-win now if they have any hopes of staying in the title race. Although City have been fantastic at the back, Stones and Diaz unbelievable, I do see Liverpool scoring here. And as part of my accumulator here, my 4-way, I'm going to go Salah anytime. He's hit some fantastic form. And if they're going to do anything, Mo Salah needs to be at that level, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. And he's a kind of player who, we've spoken about a little bit this week in the mailbox actually, that he's probably in a bizarre way quite underrated because he scores ridiculous numbers of goals and scores ridiculously good goals as well. And yet people still question him, don't they, a little bit? And he doesn't quite look like a great player. Well, it actually doesn't matter if he miscontrols the ball sometimes. He puts the ball in the back of the net.
Leave him alone.
A great number of times. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to say. He puts the ball in the net and that's what you want. Right, let's move on. Man United versus Everton. Now, look. We have criticised Ollie in the past, haven't we? And that's what happens. He's part of it's part and parcel of being manager at a big club. It's accountability, it's scrutiny. That's what happens. But I do feel sorry for him, because when they have these big wins at home, the narrative is never, well done, Ollie. The narrative is always something else. When they beat Leeds 6-2, what was the narrative? Wow, Bielsa, what a fantastic manager. When they beat Southampton, all we talk about is, well, that dodgy decision at 6-0 up with 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Can't we just give him some love? 30 seconds on why Ollie is brilliant, please, Sarah.
Do you know what my reaction there wasn't to tell you what Ollie was brilliant? My reaction was to tell you the problem that Man United hit the other night was they scored too many. As soon as you get past 6, you no longer get credit for it. That's kind of the rules. You don't, nobody gets credit for 9-0 because you immediately think, well, the story isn't you winning 9-0. The story is somebody losing 9-0. And, you don't get...
The story is you being heartless. Absolutely heartless.
But hands up, nobody would have had Man United ahead of Liverpool at this stage of the season. Part of that is to do with Liverpool's sort of mini collapse, but a lot of that also is to do with Man United becoming far more consistent. And Solskjaer has managed this group of players really, really well. He's managed Pogba really well because he's made him motivated again. Now, whether Pogba's just using United to the end of the season, it matters not at all. But he has motivated him. And he's motivated players, someone like Luke Shaw, who was broken after Jose Mourinho. Absolutely broken. He absolutely got destroyed, thrown under the bus so many times that he had tyre tracks across his body. And Solskjaer picks him up, puts his arm around him, tells him actually he's the best left back in England. And you know what? He is.
And he might well be.
He absolutely
he might well
is.
be.
He's certainly better than Ben Chilwell right now.
Yes, Everton playing well again. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring midweek in an excellent win at Leeds. However, part of my accumulator, I'm going Anthony Martial. He's back. He's scoring goals again. He's taking dives, sure. I think he'll score in that game as part of my 4-way Paddy Power accumulator. Let's move on, because we spent a lot of time there on Liverpool and United. Let's talk about Aston Villa, my favourite team in the league, against Arsenal. Poor result for Villa against West Ham.
Really poor, and they've not been great since they came back from that little absence they had. They're probably enjoying it more against Arsenal, I would have thought. They do struggle against these teams who, David Moyes he's incredibly good at this, isn't he? At sort of managing expectations and managing games like that where you can control the game by playing relatively defensively, counter-attacking quickly. Arsenal ain't going to play like that, and that will probably fall into Aston Villa's lap a little bit. But Arsenal will be fueled by this sort of sense of raging injustice from midweek, which is the best way to lose an unbeaten record is with that sense of we've been done wrong, which is what they've come out.
Have a chip on your shoulder, yeah,
massively.
Take it into the next game.
Arsenal played really well in that first 45 minutes, and that's what Arteta will be drumming into them all this week. You played really well, you got robbed. So they'll go into that game on Saturday, and I'm actually quite excited about this game. You like watching Aston Villa. I'm still in love with the idea that Arsenal might turn out to be any good at any point. Maybe that's just the old romantic lady in me, but but no, I think this could be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it'd be both teams to score as well as part of my accumulator. Aston Villa, I could talk about Jack Grealish all day. I won't, but I could also talk about Saka all day. I just think this Arsenal side, just suddenly with a couple of changes, a couple of new faces, they just look so much fun, so much more invigorated and invigorating. Just a good side to watch. I think this could be the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, that flatness has gone from Arsenal completely. That trio of Saka, Smith Rowe, and bizarrely Nicolas Pepe looks a different player on the left. Yeah, that trio looks really exciting. Thomas Partey, driving from midfield has given them.
Odegaard's
come in. I mean,
he's come in.
Who can't be excited about that?
Absolutely. Right, let's move on. Newcastle versus Southampton. Now we've touched upon Southampton already. They've shown us before that they can come back from a result like this.
I mean, that's the thing. And if anybody else had lost 9-0 this week, we'd be talking about the manager. Should the manager be sacked? We'd be talking about a set of players. How could they recover? The bizarre thing about this is they've done it before, and they actually came back.
He's the safest manager in the league still.
Yeah, 9-0. We know Southampton come back better from 9-0. So that's all fine. And you couldn't want to play a side more than you could want to play Newcastle, could you? I mean, that's you want to bounce back from a 9-0 defeat, go and play a pretty rotten Newcastle side.
Yeah, Newcastle impossible to predict, aren't they? Because they were fantastic at Everton last weekend. And then midweek, okay, Palace have got it in them, but they were just nothing there again. And it just feels like, no one can turn up to grounds at the minute, but you feel like watching Newcastle, you don't know what you're going to get every time you tune in. So I've got no idea what's going to happen here, but I do think there'll be goals. I don't think either team at the minute. Southampton normally very solid. Vestergaard, I think, is still out. Bednarak looks like he's going to miss a bit of time, although at time of recording we don't know that for sure. But I'm going to go for goals here. Over 3.5 I'm going to go in here. I fancy maybe a high-scoring draw. But Newcastle, St. Maximum's back and looks exciting again, so you never know. Yeah.
I agree, goals. That's the one there. That isn't going to be
I agree,
0-0.
Goals.
Definitely not 0-0.
No. Well, I guarantee it will be now. Right, final game of the weekend happens Monday night. It's Leeds versus Palace. Everyone's favourite team in Leeds, apart from mine, Aston Villa, as we've established plenty of times. And Leeds versus Palace. This could be a really entertaining one as well. I mean, if Roy decides to take the handbrake off, Palace could go to Leeds and try and swamp them in midfield, couldn't he?
He could. I mean, we saw the handbrake come off a little bit in midweek. They played sort of four out-and-out attacking players, really, which is really rare for Palace, really rare for Roy Hodgson. And he was kind of forced into that a little bit by injuries, but actually it's a great thing to see when it does happen. A lot might depend on Wilf Zaha. I don't know how injured he is. Leeds will want to win this one. It's kind of they're in danger of kind of just sort of it all becoming a bit forgettable maybe, and I think kind of they need a win every now and again just to kind of keep that fire burning to they are having a very good debut season in the Premier League. But once you start losing, 2 or 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, then everyone starts sort of wondering, everyone starts asking those questions again, don't they, about whether this is sustainable in the Premier League. But I think this, I fancy them to beat Palace. Palace are a very streaky team. Palace have now lost 1-2 in a row. That either means they're going to win the next 3 or they're going to lose the next 7. So, we've got no idea what to expect on Monday night. But it's one of those that sounds a little bit sexy to me.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of games this weekend that I think would be fun for the neutral to watch. And this is definitely one of them. Let's just talk very briefly about Patrick Bamford. Again, someone who was written off by a lot of people, myself included, while he was in the Championship. There's talk about him getting an England call-up. How many England strikers are there ahead of him in the pecking order at the minute?
I think, well, obviously you've got Kane, you've got Calvert-Lewin. Question marks over Tammy Abraham. Is he going to play enough at Chelsea? I'm not sure. Danny Ings has hit a bad patch of form. So there's probably not that many, but I just can't see. I don't think he's a Gareth Southgate player. I really don't. I think a lot of pins have got to go down before he kind of steps up. To me, he still misses too many chances. That Leeds team and the way they create chances, you wonder if a really good goal scorer was in there, just how many goals they would get, because he still wastes a lot of chances. He's done. Don't get me wrong, he's done far better than anyone ever predicted. Certainly,
he's been unbelievable.
You're right. But England, I think it's a step too far personally.
I'd love him to get a cap, whether it's a friendly or a World Cup final. I just want him to get an England cap. I think it would be a great achievement in his career. Big fan. Right, that's all we've got time for, Sarah. Thank you for joining me on the show. Thank you guys at home for watching. If you liked it, you can like and subscribe, all that stuff. But also, you can email us. It's the editor at football365.com. Right, that's it. Until next time, same place, same time, I guess. This has been Big Weekend, brought to you by Paddy Power.